Afternoon. This video documentation is in regards to the E46 headlight side return. I understand that your driver left side actually had a lot of issues with the low beam bi-xenon shutter motor being dislodged and out of place. I understand that you showed me documentation showing the motor being placed behind the projector lens. So right now we've actually received your return, processed it, went with our vendor, went ahead received their exchanging headlights. So in regards to our vendor, they mentioned and they passed to us a replacement light of theirs, which they kind of mentioned to us like the only concern in regards to the replacement light would actually be just slightly at the adjustment knob being chipped off, whereas the inner housing and everything else is still solid and all intact. So they did mention just about that, which you can just see just this portion has been kind of chipped right off, but however just the adjustment knob itself and also the gears in terms of the inner housing and everything are all intact with no issues. So it's just that minor concern which I'll go ahead and message you in regards to this documentation and supplementation that our vendor is willing to kind of offer you more of a $20 partial refund, being the case just the issue with this adjustment knob. Otherwise, this is actually a very good replacement light that we're actually received from our vendor in regards to the exchange. So I'm going to go ahead and take the time to show you the entire bench testing for the functionalities for the low beam, the bi-xenon high beam, the halogen high beam, and also the angel eyes to be all working with no issues. So starting with the low beam, I'll go ahead and power that on with my 12-volt power supply. You see that the HID fires right up. In 1 second I'll go ahead and show you the cutoff line. So right now I'm going to go ahead and activate the high beam, which is the bi-xenon shutter using the 4th connector. So I'll be doing that right now. You can see that the shutter has no issues. And I'll have the camera pan back to the headlights right here. And then you'll see that this will get brighter with no issues when I'm bench testing the shutter pin. So again, no problem with the shutter. Alright, testing the low beam and also the bi-xenon shutter. So moving on, we'll actually focus on the halogen high beam. The halogen high beam is just a simple socket fixture that you can just easily remove, which it actually has a H7 bulb inserted, giving it a 9005 base. So I'm just going to go ahead and test this fixture, which pretty much is conclusive in regards to this, because all it is going to be stuck right back to the housing. So going ahead with the testing, get one of the clamps out. Since it's halogen, I wouldn't have to worry too much about polarity, so I'm just going to go ahead and test it with my lead. Alright, so no problem. Turn it off, turn it on, no problem. So bench testing the halogen 9005 fixture, no problem. So moving on. The only thing I need to test for you would be the angel eyes for this replacement headlight sight, so I'll go ahead and do that for you right now. The LEDs are actually polarity sensitive, so I do have to keep in mind the negative going with grounding and the red being positive. So I'll go ahead and wire the alligator clamps accordingly. So this is my grounding wire. And move on to my positive wire. Alright. Alright, wired that. I'll go ahead and power it on. You can see that the angel eyes, no problem, all the LED nodes working with no issues. Quick wipe on the lens. So again, perfect. So the last part of it, I've already mentioned in regards to just the one manual adjustment knob, just a piece of it breaking off. This is not integral for the headlight installation, it's just rather slightly cosmetic, being the case the adjustment knob are fully operational. So moving on, just want to make sure clips are solid, nothing's cracked, nothing's chipping, nothing's broken. And also the side mounting bracket. And also the weather strip. You can see that all of it is intact. All the way down here. Even the cornering trim, they're all intact. You can also see that the lens have no damage or impact or scratching on them. And with the weather trim right here too. You can see the rear housing cap available for this setup too. It's also with the HID ballast already mounted underneath the headlights. same thing as yours set up already. So it's just making sure that showing you that everything's included with this replacement headlight side. Also the fourth connector. So moving on, last part would be the undersides of the headlights. You can see that nothing's broken, everything is in very good condition. Also these lower mounting brackets as well. And also finally the rear housing. So let me get this connector off. You can see all the wiring looms available. You got the 9006 connector routing back from these connector going back, so you have just the main low beam connector to connect back. You got your stay on high beam connector to connect your bi-xenon shutter connector, and also I will be including this fixture, which you'll be inserting your 9005 flash high beam connector to it. Lastly, my assumption is you've disconnected this portion, so you still have your relay harness portion for this Angel Eye portion. All you would need to do is, if in the case you have that connector, reconnect it. As long as you have your harness system already inside your engine bay with everything properly connected, the Angel Eyes should fire up right away. Again, appreciate your time. I'll be sure to provide this documentation and follow up with the report in regards to the RM exchange with my vendor. And we look forward to your confirmation so we can move forward with the exchange. Thank you so much.